conversation. Just going to have a short conversation, and if I can, if I can address any questions, I want to just first of all just give you an overview of where we're at right now. The city sits at almost a 7% reduction in crime. We got a 50% reduction in homicides in our city. That's still one too many, but we have a 50% reduction in homicides. This time last year, we had almost 30 individuals that suffered a gunshot wound in our city. Today we have 14. It's also about a 50% reduction. Things are moving in the right direction. You've seen by a tragic event that just happened last week, the way that citizens came forward and businesses came forward and an arrest was made, working with Hampton and Suffolk. That's the way it's supposed to work. I was having a conversation with Chief Grinstead when we pulled up to that scene. When we got there were 20 detectives on that scene. That's the way it should work when we have a violent crime in the city. It should be a force out here that's not going to tolerate that. And I can't tell enough how proud I was to see citizens and businesses coming together. So talk a little bit about the budget. I'm piggyback a little bit off of Chief Parker. When I look at the public safety side, I feel very, very confident in this direction we're moving. As I look to see though, as we grow, there are things that I would like to see that I know what we need to focus on, and some requests that were made. So as we move forward with the budget, one of the issues that I really didn't notice right away when I got in is the FOIA position. We are very, very behind on collecting data. Every officer has a body-worn camera, and more and that is asked for by the media, is asked for when individuals come forward with suits against the city. Matter of fact, it was one of the city attorneys who pulled me aside and said, hey, we got to get a grasp on this. We got to do a better job. And they were absolutely right. When I talked to Howard Gwynn, it's not just one officer that shows at a scene. It may be 4 or 5 officers. Now we got to go through and find that body-worn camera footage. So that position was granted. That's going to be a tremendous benefit. It's not too often I hear from the folks down in records that were doing those type things. But I'll tell you what, they're waiting at the door, and they're excited for that. I think that's going to be a huge benefit. It's just going to make us more effective and much more efficient. I think we'll save, at the end of the day, I think that salary for that individual will be much less than we're spending on overtime pulling some of that data as we move forward. We were fortunate enough to get 3 new positions added to the police department as I look where we're at now. And let me say this, I got to piggyback off of Jeff. When I got here, where I saw where we were at in starting salary to bring people into this department, we were struggling. I was just sitting there talking with Mike about how are we down here with Hampton. Hampton's starting officer in Hampton is making more Newport news. So when I went to the city manager and had this conversation, I wasn't sure how it would go. I just got here. I was just in the door. I've been here just a couple months, but this is a concern of mine. And we have got to be competitive. And I asked to bring us even with Norfolk. Right? Virginia Beach is always going to be the big player of the size. But get me competitive with Norfolk, and I'll do the rest morale-wise. But get me competitive so I can at least compete. I didn't go to the meeting. Chief Randall and Chief Joe Moore at the time went to that meeting. They came back and said, "Hey, we didn't get the even salary of Norfolk." Oh wow, okay, all right. We went higher, so we are now number 2. That has resonated in this region. Jeff is exactly right. We're the number 2 player behind Virginia Beach for the first time. And if I'm going to quote Chief Grinstead right, I asked him, when was the last time this department at 450 officers was fully staffed? And he said, well, he's been here a little longer than me. But he said, I think about mid-80s, right? Come July 1st, this police department will be fully staffed. That is huge. So I look at the things we're doing, and with 3 additional bodies as we come in, there's some things that I know we have to focus on. We've got some issues with homeless in this city that I want to focus on. Dr. Parker and I have talked about doing more in elementary schools. I hope that you have seen some big impact that we're trying to do with youth in this city. As I see crime go down, I look at those calls for service, and more we're getting calls and complaints about parking and issues of loud noise, where it used to be neighborhoods where gunfights, individuals suffering gunshot wounds, and civil disturbance. So I know we're only in mid-April, right? But I also know where we were at this time last April. We've got a very good start off to this year. So as we look at where we're at, the increase in officers is going to be a tremendous benefit for us. The FOIA position is going to be a tremendous benefit for us as we look at different things coming through. Right? Take too much time.
No. I was going to say when you finish, I didn't mean to interrupt. When you talk about, because it's something that council had talked about, the funding that we're going to give you to do that program. I know you wanted 50, but you got 20. Will you talk a little bit
Sure,
about what
yeah.
that's going to enable you to do? And this is something that council has raised for at least the last 2 years that I've heard, and this year we'll be able to hopefully address some
No,
of
that's a great point, and I'll tell you, City Manager is exactly correct. It happened just last Thursday. The issue, the homicide that occurred, there were other family members that were scared. This time the individual had not been arrested. There were other family members that were scared, and we had to we've got to move her. We've got to get her out of here until she was terrified. So that is, when we talk about relocating individuals, moving individuals, not just from one neighborhood to the next. I mean, sometimes we have to move. We talked to Howard Glenn about people that, there are homicide cases and shooting cases that are ready to go forward. When citizens are afraid to testify, it is a problem. It is a problem. So money, when we looking at $50,000 or where we at, where we spend to move individuals, to relocate them, we partner with some of our surrounding jurisdictions, some of our surrounding states. That's what we've asked for. The $20,000 to relocate and people's safety. I think that reassures them a little bit. The one that we immediately care about them, and it gives us a tool. Sometimes when people are afraid, I'm not telling you all anything. Sometimes when people are afraid, they're afraid to come forward. We can create some immediate relief. We can take care of that. We can move you, relocate you for a time, and they start to trust us a little bit and know that we care about it. So where I sit back and look at where we're going with funding, I had a lot of conversations with Lisa. I fully understand that there are other needs in the city. The department, I believe, over the next 5 years needs to grow. I think we're starting in that direction. It's the right word, not reallocated. Move things around, reshuffle, right, like that. We reshuffled some things. We have a police athletic league now that has already started. It'll be going off this summer. We were looking pretty good in the precincts, and for some reason, the lateral program, that's where officers are already certified in other jurisdictions, they're flooding here. I mean, flooding here, and that's money that I'm not spending in training. That's officers that I can put on the street in about 1 month as opposed to almost 9. So there's some good things going on here, and when we talk about that, certainly that salary that starting salary is important. But we didn't just stop there, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, and I think Jeff hit on it as well. I knew when we bumped the starting salary, that would cause issues with compression. So if I got hired last year, now the new officer getting hired this year is making more money. I didn't even ask. I figured I would come back and say next year and talk about compression. But publicly, I need to thank the city manager and the city administration. That was addressed just about a month later. I don't have that issue right now. This is a military town. There's people that come and go and leave, but January 1st, we'll be fully staffed. I'm looking at a recruit class that'll have 30 in it, right? 30 in it come July, and I think there's 7 or 8 individuals that are in the lateral program that we're looking at right now. So I'm very fortunate and thankful for the funds that were provided. I understand there's a lot of needs, but the citizens of the city and where I sit right now, we have a lot of momentum. I don't know if the council has heard those things from constituents, but I was at a meeting today and I asked individuals how many homicides we have in our city. This is the first time at a public meeting that they could tell me. We've only got 2, maybe 3. Only 2, maybe 3. Other times in the past, 12, 13. And it's that perception, and that's starting to change. So I'll address any questions. I don't want to take up too much time.
Well, plus I just really love what I've been hearing a lot, and what I just appreciate from seeing that people will start to think twice about coming to Newport News to do crimes, because how quickly we send out the press release or whatever when we catch somebody like that. Because for years people just seem like they never got caught. So I think that effectiveness that you're doing with changing things around, however you're doing that, and criminals are getting caught, it's resounding in the communities, and they'll think about coming here to do crime. So I applaud you on that.
And one of the things you heard from the chief was his concern about domestic violence and the rise in domestic violence. And they have a plan to attack that, but also in support of this budget, we've given positions. One will be dedicated to be a domestic violence prosecutor in the criminal attorney's office, so that we can start working towards making a dent in some of those issues.
Yes, you're exactly right, and I think some of it, I have to look at what we have in our resources and how many special victims or what we would juvenile division. When we look at domestic violence, all three deaths in this city have all been domestic related, every one of them. So we reallocated, we moved one detective that will partner with that Commonwealth attorney that will focus strictly on domestic violence cases. We're going to the same addresses over and over. We got to find a better way to deal with that. Anything else?
Congratulations. Not for too bad, I want to mention too, we obviously did the salary adjustment, something council supported, we appreciate it. And it was something we needed to do, it was something we needed to do for the public safety officials. But just as there's also a part of that, if we ultimately will see a cost savings, because if you recall, for the past few years, we've had a real issue on overtime in public safety.
Yes.
Probably 3 times, 4 times what we had seen in the past. You can attribute it maybe to the vacancies or some other things, and we were still working on that. But getting a full complement and making that investment to be able to do that should hopefully we'll be able to lower some of those overtime costs, and it almost to a certain degree will pay for itself. So we're trying to make those kinds of strategic approaches, particularly with regard to public safety. So again, I appreciate everything that Chief Drew and Chief Johnson are doing. We keep saying we have the momentum, and we need to keep building on that. And I think for a very small investment, we've been able to do that.
Thank you so much, Chief.